Hey, welcome back to another episode of It's a Football Thing. As always, I'm your host RJ, and I'm joined by my fellow co-hosts, the champion mates, Scott the Gooner, not so happy Gooner, and Rob, the very happy little red devil. How are you? I'll ask you first, Rob.
Mate, I've got my popcorn, I've got my Arsenal of red, my bottle of red, and I'm looking forward to the chat tonight, boys. I'm ready to smash good old Scotty. Feels like 3 months worth of United pain coming out tonight, so I'm looking forward to
it. Scott?
Mate, smash away, champion, because I understand how you felt for the whole second half of the season now when there's not really anything left to play for. So I am where you are now. I'm coming to join you in no hope, disappointment. But one thing I won't be doing is jumping ship to every team in the league besides mine. So I'm sure we'll get into it, mate. But look, anything that's fired is going to be fired straight back. So I'm ready. It's going to be a big show. The numbers are good. The live chat's pumping. We've got a lot to cover. We obviously are going to look at the calamity that is Arsenal Football Club, and I'm sure we'll give the people what they want, a little bit of pain, a little bit of banter, and we'll get through that. We'll talk about now the top four. I don't think we'll say top four race because there's no race anymore. One of the competitors has broken both legs and fallen face first. We will, of course, cover the FA Cup final because it's not all going to be banter on me tonight. RJ's team are buckled again as well. So, of course, we'll talk FA Cup. We'll talk the quad. Are Liverpool on for the quad? Could this happen? What does this mean? And then we'll wrap up some other things. We'll give our thoughts on the young player of the season, the player of the season, the manager of the season. Whew, it's going to be busy, boys. It's going to be busy. But RJ, no one asked you how you are, my man.
I think what I'm wearing reflects how I'm feeling. Although, I'll say, I'm in mourning. I'm worried about the Liverpool quad. We lost again via some very cruel way of penalty shootouts, which we'll go through. But the silver lining is, no matter how bad it gets, imagine if you were an Arsenal fan. So, look, thanks very much. You're a good mate. Thanks for supporting a club that is an absolute bottle job disaster class. So, thank you. Thank you very much.
We're good, my man. We'll talk. It's just going to be shots fired all night. That's the theme. That's what you're in for. But there are almost 20 of you in here live at the moment. So before we get into it, because I know you're all waiting for the Arsenal banter, we're going to make you wait a bit longer for that. Leave a like on the video, but make sure you smash a like. If you're new here, please sub. We are 16 away from 600, and that would be a better achievement than what Arsenal have done this season. Let's quickly, I'm going to do this really quickly, say hello to some people in the chat. Marty's here. Marty, pleasure. Justin's in here. Yep, here we go. Come on, bring it on, boys. We've got the concierge in the house.
Hey, here he is.
Much love. We got Tom from the United Pubcast grabbing his popcorn. Shano, it's so hard when you think someone's your bro. You think you got a mate, and they pull these kind of stunts on you. We got, of course, Sean in here. Sean Chelsea FC. Me too, Sean. Me too, mate. That makes two of us, but I've got your back. Borche in here. Yeah, I'm just waiting for it.
Hey, they're still celebrating the FA Youth Cup, mate. You know, the class.
That's it. Oh, there's plenty of all the bottles and the enthusiasm. Let's have a look. We got Anthony in the house. Robbie, I know you were on his channel today, having a watch, having a chat.
Great channel. Check it out, guys, by the way. Not the Interpart, the Football Worldwide. Great content.
Spot on. Legs are Rooney. Mate, we will review it. I'm going to give my honest thoughts on Arsenal. Can't do anything more. Cal, Liverpool needs some drug testing. Look, speak to the relevant authorities. Daniel, feeling a bit sad. Carlos is here. He wants some Chelsea tears. Don't we all? And, of course, the Arsenal disappointment train's never late. Supporting Norwich this weekend. And, RJ, your women's team did win the FA Cup, so good on them. Good on Kerr.
Sam Kerr again, mate.
Terrific.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move, boys. Let's jump straight into the FA Cup because then we're going to do all the Premier League action. A disappointing result. Never easy to lose a cup final. You guys have made a bit of a habit of it in recent years with the FA Cup in particular. You won the one that counted last year, but give us just your honest thoughts on the match and what went wrong.
Sure. No, it was a really good game. So first of all, congratulations to all the Reds fans following. And at the end of the day, you take the win, of course. But what I will say, just, statistically speaking, these two teams, very good clubs, played 4 times. All 4 times in the 90 minutes have drawn each occasion. The last 2 times we have played, both penalty shootout victories to Liverpool. So hats off to them. They won the game. They got the goods. Liverpool started off in a red hot fashion. That was the game plan, to try to put us to the sword nice and early. Fortunately for us, we were able to withstand that early onslaught. But then by about the 15, 20-minute mark, we started, weathering all of that pressure and growing into the game. And we also fashioned up a couple of good opportunities from Pulisic, from Mason Mount, and Marcus Alonso, notably. Great save by Alisson. And then halftime came. We were the brighter of the two teams in the second half to start things. Again, Alonso hit the post from a free kick, but then Liverpool regathered their momentum and also missed a couple of gilt-edged opportunities. I thought Luis Diaz, in particular, was really strong. Trent Alexander-Arnold pulled off an absolute world-class tackle to deny Pulisic, who I reckon would have scored if he got his shot away. And in the end, it was just a situation where the two teams hit extra time. Both looked like they didn't want to be there. I think they wanted to fast forward and go straight to penalties. And in the end of it, I've seen my team, both club and country, win on penalty shootouts. But equally, like you said, Scott, on the FA Cup stage and Carabao Cup, it's a very bitter pill to swallow. And I don't know what you guys think and what the live chat thinks. For a team sport, I know there's got to be a winner and a loser, but it's such an ugly way. I don't like it when 1 or 2 players defines it, but it is what it is, and we take our medicine. But I was proud of the effort. Liverpool have been touted as one of the best teams going around, at least in attacking sense, and we've kept them to 2 consecutive clean sheets over 120 minutes both times. So proud, disappointed we didn't win it, but that's life.
Robbie, we know your feelings on Liverpool, but they seem to really enjoy winning a trophy, and they're very good at it, hatred aside. How do you feel about the fact that the quad is on? It's still a reality. How do you feel, mate?
Honestly, trembling, mate, because I don't want to. I thought that even last week, City might have even put the dagger on the quad, but obviously they had to draw with West Ham. I was definitely on the Chelsea train. I actually predicted in our predictions that this was going to go to penalties. I did think Chelsea was going to get over it, but it is a bit of luck of the draw, like we will say, especially when Mendy made that save on the 5th against Mane. I really thought that was a bit of a tides was going to turn in the way of Chelsea. But look, I said, it's a luck of the draw. Who has the nerve at the end of the day? And I'm not going to congratulate Liverpool, but that's 2 in the bag out of the 4. We really hope Real Madrid come into play and even Man City step up, because mate, if they get this quad, we will never hear the end of it, mate, ever. And you know what? If they do get the quad, which we all hope they don't, that'll be very hard to replicate ever again.
You know what, Rob? I couldn't give 2 stuffs if they get the quad. I could not give 2 stuffs if they get it, mate. I couldn't care, because it makes no difference to me. If it's not Arsenal in it, couldn't care who wins it, as long as it's obviously not Spurs. I honestly don't get this fascination with everyone being so worried about them winning a quad. It's every team.
If they were to go Invincibles, you can't tell me, you can't sit there and say that you don't own that.
Of course, I'd be upset.
If they took the Invincibles and you guys weren't never the only team that had the Invincibles, it's something you guys own. Like we have the treble. Well, like I'm sure that Chelsea's got like the lowest points or lowest goals conceded that time with Mourinho. Yeah. You hold on to little records like that, man. So if you guys got that taken away from you, you'd feel it the same as everyone else, mate. You hold on to your own records.
Yeah, I guess Adam's saying I wouldn't understand. That's all right, mate. Is yours gold? That's all I'm going to ask you, because you probably wouldn't understand.
Hey, and then we get the whole penalty thing. And then we get the whole John Terry thing. Didn't the GOAT supposedly miss in that same final, Ronaldo? So he got bailed out to that final. So let's not get too excited about penalties.
Can I tell you, since the North London Derby result, there's been more stick from United fans than any other club. They've made more noise than the Spurs fans. You know what it is? The littlest dog at the park, the Chihuahua, is always the one that wants to bark at all the other dogs. Because they've just been in the background, United. No one's given them 2 thoughts this season. They've been battered by Brighton, battered by us, battered by half the league, and they're just yapping. They're trying to jump onto Tottenham's success. So long may they continue yapping away, mate, because the little dog barks the loudest. So I couldn't care if Liverpool win the quad, but RJ, obviously you would have liked to stop them. I want to ask you about
We were
Mason
close,
Mount.
mate.
I want to ask you
go
about
on.
Mount. I'm a big fan of Mount. You're a big fan of Mount. I think Robbie appreciates what Mount does as well.
Yep.
That's another penalty. That penalty, that's going to hurt. That's going to hurt. Do you think he'll bounce back from it, or do you think the fans aren't going to let up?
It depends what you take online fans. You know what? The morning after it happened, for those who want a bit of entertainment, you should have hopped onto Chelsea Twitter. It was absolute chaos. It was insane. Step away if you wanted some form of balanced discussions, because fingers were being pointed left, right, and center. It was civil war. Poor Mason, Azpilicueta missed as well. He's a captain. He hit the post. It can happen. At the end of the day, Alisson made a brilliant double save, because if you see Mason's, he hits it and then he bounces up and hits it again. So you take your hat off to Alisson. But for Mason, look, it's his 6th Wembley loss. Yes, he's missed another penalty. But equally, those that are reasonable will realise that he also set up 2 chances, and had one of them been put away, no one's talking about it. So Tuchel came out, backed him, said he's an important player. He does a lot of great things. People miss penalties. That's going to happen. He will bounce back. And I was actually speaking to his dad. I was texting. And I remember a message he sent after the League Cup final, basically said there was the Michael Jordan image where it goes something about bouncing back. And he was talking about how much of a mentality monster he is. And you remember after the League Cup loss, he came back and started putting in some really strong performances. So he's already put it past him. And I wouldn't be surprised if he finishes the season on a high, because 23 years old, he's already our leading goals and assists contributor this season for someone that needed to improve his end product. This is just another chapter in his journey. So, yeah, not too phased for poor Mace.
Right, we're about to move off the FA Cup because we've got some Premier League to talk about. But, Robbie, you know mine and RJ's thoughts on Mount, but I'm really curious to hear from you. David is saying he's the next Dele Alli, will disappear in 5 years. What do you think? Do you think I don't personally agree with this. I think he's going to continue being a success, but what do you think, Rob?
You know, I rate him. I've rated him last season. I talked him up. This season, I don't think he's had maybe as best as or a greater season as he did last year, but I think he's young. I think he's got a high ceiling, and I think he's got a lot more potential to bring out of his game. Yeah, I've got nothing really bad to say about him, man. He plays a big part in that Chelsea team. Like I said, he got someone. It's always nice when someone comes through the academy and actually makes it and performs and wins stuff for the club, as he has. This year he won trophies. Everyone thinks Chelsea haven't won anything this year. They're the world champions still. They won the Super Cup. You know, there's trophies at the end of the day, and he's been a part of that team. So I've got nothing but raps on him. I think he's a good little player.
Yeah, and a penalty is a penalty. You win some, you lose some. Before we get to the Premier League, we did have a question somewhere in the chat asking who we think will win the championship playoff between Forest and Sheffield United. Just quickly, boys, quick fire. Who's coming up?
That's the semi-final tomorrow.
Yeah. Who's winning that semi?
I think Nottingham Forest will meet Huddersfield in the final.
And for me, Forest are coming up.
I'd like to see Forest come up as well.
RJ?
Huddersfield, come on, Levi Colwill, the young gun, the young centre back. He'll come.
I'd happily welcome back. The Terriers were good last time. I enjoyed them. So
there we go, boys. It's time to move to the Premier League. 23 of you in here live at the moment with us. Please make sure you hit that like button. It helps us to get the content seen, helps us grow. And of course, if you haven't clicked subscribe, feel free to get us closer to those 600 subs that we're chasing at the moment. Let's get Arsenal out of the way, because I just want it done. Throw whatever questions, insults, comments you want to throw, get them out there, put them in the chat, because Paul's already started. And I had the pleasure of joining Paul on his channel at 4 a.m. the other morning. I enjoyed that more than the match. So he's saying, we're coming for you guys. Toon, get in. And the Gunners weren't allowed to play last night. We were awesome. What an atmosphere. I can speak from my couch and what I saw. it seemed electric. Hats off to the Newcastle fans. You are going to be threatening that, especially those European spots. Newcastle are not going to be in the same position next year. Good manager, good squad, and it's only going to get better. So I'm going to start by mentioning them because they were fantastic. They were absolutely fantastic this morning, and they're not going to get the credit they deserve because everyone's too busy talking about us, rightfully so. But Newcastle, fantastic. Callum Wilson, brilliant.
That Bruno Guimaraes was looking.
Talk about one that got away. We went through January not signing a single player. He was one that was rumoured, and in his introduction video for Newcastle, he acknowledged that interest from Arsenal, so you know it was there. But he was one that got away, and he's a guy that if he was in our squad, we're probably not bottling it like we have. So big ups to them. But quite frankly, I wasn't too bad this morning. After the North London derby, I went missing for a few days. It hurt me. I haven't been hurt by a football result like that for a long time. That's where we lost top four. And it is done. I'm not entertaining any of this crap about Spurs not beating Norwich. They're the worst team in the league. Spurs will beat them. It's done, and I actually don't think we'll beat Everton. Because one thing that we've learnt about this Arsenal team over the years, and it's not just Arteta's crop, happened under Wenger, happened under Emery, they don't like pressure. When we played Chelsea and United back-to-back, everyone expected that we would lose or draw those matches. There was no pressure to win. What did we do? Beat both. We got to a match that really counted. We got to those matches where we could solidify top four against Palace or who else was it against? I've gone blank. Palace, Burnley. Who else did we drop points to? Boys, in that run. I know I'm the Arsenal fan. But anyway, we had those 3 games in a row. I'm trying to delete them. And there was pressure. Palace killed us. Brighton, we didn't beat. And that was where we lost it. We didn't lose it this morning because it was done. It was done when we didn't win the derby. Spurs had the momentum. And that's that. Before I keep going, because I could rant for 20 minutes, anything you want to throw at me about the derby, boys, or about this morning?
Just quickly before the derby, I just got a question. We got a question there from Tom. I wanted to ask you this myself tonight. So he's got it there. So bring it up. Tell me this, because this is the exact same thing that I was thinking when we happened with Ollie. We're so close to the end of the season. I just think this puts more pressure on Arteta, and I think it would be a reward if he did got that top 4, which is still a possibility. It'd be nice to say, here's top 4, here's your reward. I don't understand why they go in and offer a big contract, and then this kind of puts you on the downhill. Everyone's like, oh, some people are Arteta out now. The pressure's been on him. He hasn't delivered. He's bottled it at the moment, even though technically he hasn't. Like, what do you think of the situation of the contract renewal now, not at the end of the season?
Oh, it was amateur. It was something that happens when you've got disengaged owners who don't understand football fans, football culture. And it reeked of inexperience. For Arteta to have the arrogance after that to say, they offered it to me when we lost the 3 matches, to kind of put his chest down and say, they believe in me, you should too. Well, who believes in the Cronkies? I don't know many Arsenal fans who do, and if they're believing in him and backing him this much, that doesn't fill me with great hope. So I think it was stupidly timed. But it was a Cronky move to come out and say, this is our guy. He's met the expectation. The expectation, from what I'm understanding, is that it was Europa League, because as soon as that was secured and in the bag, we saw a new contract. So he delivered what they wanted. And to be fair, I predicted we'd finish 5th at the beginning of the season, just outside the top 4, and it's happened. So I'm not shocked with where we finished. It hasn't happened.
There's another game. I can't see an Arsenal players that are saying this can't happen.
You
cannot say right now. You couldn't put it past Spurs to say that they couldn't possibly bottle it.
It'd be such a Spursy thing, wouldn't it? Yeah. Such a Spursy thing to do.
You can't say it, because if it happens next week, you're gonna be thinking. I'm telling you, the odds are low, but you can't say it won't happen.
It's absolutely dead. It's finished. It's done. This is what an experienced manager at the helm gets you, And they do have two world-class players in their squad. I don't feel Arsenal have a world-class player in our squad at this moment in time. We have some potential ones, but Harry Kane and Son are world-class players. And between those two and Conte, plus their new signings, that's been the difference. Spurs are playing better football than Arsenal right now. And they're not going to bottle it to Norwich. It's not happening. RJ, I know you probably have some thoughts you want to chuck at me, but I just want to look at a couple of live chat comments and then we'll go over to you. Adam pointing out the truth. It's facts. Newcastle never looked in trouble. Mate, they could have walked. They probably didn't even need to break into a jog. Borche, and another one of those United fans. Don't worry, Arsenal won the transfer window and dropped 16 kits. Well, we won nothing in January, mate. And I would still say we had better transfer business than United did, which is why we're finishing above you. The contract extension we've spoken about. This one here from Justin. Season failure, not making top 4, or do you see top 6 as success? If you'd asked me at the beginning of the season if I'd have been okay with 5th, I would have said yes. But the fact of the matter is it was in our hands. We had control over our own destiny, which you don't often get in football, and we bottled it. So, no, I do think it's a failed season. It's not a sackable season, but it's a failed season. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's where I'm at with it. RJ, there are more comments. I'll get to them shortly, but I'm sure you probably have some thoughts you want to chuck out.
Well, you was leading into my thoughts because it all comes down to timing. So the expectation at the start was, like I said, challenge top 6, top 4 would be a bonus, but you knew that you're a little bit away from the true players of the competition. You got yourself in a very comfortable position. There's a lot of positive momentum. The lock and key was there, but then all of a sudden it's a lock and stock and 2-0 loss to Newcastle and it's all over, Red Rover. But you know what I mean? It's one of those situations where, timing is what made a big difference. January was the middle of the bell curve. Arsenal decided to roll the dice. The gamble has not paid off. And I agree with the general consensus about this whole Arteta contract extension timing, because why interfere with something that is working for what was the risk here? It's not like players that are at the end of their contract that you need to lock them down now to show them love. There was no threat of him being poached by another club. He was in a good run. Why touch something? He's already got enough pressure. Why give him that extra thing, which adds no value, in my opinion, unless they were thinking from the point of view financially. If Arsenal did qualify for top 4, he could then possibly negotiate a higher contract for his extension. But that seems pretty immaterial considering how much money that they would have got for Champions League. So if that was their reasoning, it's a massive strategic fail. And to be honest with you, I was a bit concerned about Arsenal leapfrogging us. So now that I don't have that concern,
you're safe,
I'm on
mate.
Cruise control. I'm on cruise control now.
You're fine. You got nothing to worry about. Couple of other little comments. Arteta, worst manager. Well, we'll see. We'll see, because I've heard that before. Ralph was going to transform United and it didn't happen. So we'll see what this new bloke can do. We'll see. I know it's hard to win the league over there with Ajax. They've got a lot of competition in a very competitive and excellent league, but we'll have to wait and see.
Is real tonight.
Mate, well, like I said, the littlest dog yaps the loudest, and it's all been United fans. It's all been United fans. You and Borche between you.
Some of what we've copped all year, mate. This is the worst United.
I watched us batter you.
The worst United season, and you guys have you've had barely any cup competitions. You've had no Europe, and you're still just in front of us. So I
watched us batter you at your pub, and my lips were sealed the bulk of the night.
Yeah,
so
that's it.
It's good. It's good.
Hey, break it up.
Like I said, the Chihuahua yaps the loudest. And I've got a couple of Chihuahuas who have been at me a few days. So you and Borche, get it out, man. Get it out. I mean, this is the pinnacle of your season. So enjoy it, boys. I want to look at a couple of comments. Arsenal have done well and still get Europe. Look, considering the context, I don't think we've done well. I think it's been a pretty bad season. Marty playing it safe. There's not one game to go, mate. It's done. Top 4 was done when we didn't win that derby and we got battered. youngest
This is coming
squad.
from Scott that for the
Nah,
past
it's
3
done,
months
mate.
said that you told
It's
me
done.
for 4 months that United were going to get top 4 still when I said it was gone.
Done.
And now you're saying there's
Done.
1 game left. It's still available.
This chant. Don't get me started on this chant or the new anthem. Don't get me started. All right, boys. I want to wrap up the Arsenal talk. We have seen now the top 4. We know how which teams are going to be in the Champions League next season. We can see that. Not entertaining any other talk. But
What
let's
about that? What about that Arsenal fan, the one that's gone viral, the one that just went absolutely ballistic and guaranteed
it.
Champions League football next year? He's the
100%.
funniest video on Twitter. Got to check it out.
Well, yeah, that's. I've been avoiding a lot of channels lately. Been
Are
avoiding
you
a lot.
giving any credit to the Spurs in the Spurs for the North London derby or what?
I thought I said that they're playing better football with world-class players, but happy to say it again. Spurs blew us off the park. Again, pressure. Didn't cope. There was nothing doing. It was one of our worst performances of the season when it mattered most. So, yeah, good on them.
Were you pen or non-pen for the first call? I just wanted to know.
No. Look, I boil that derby down to 3 things, and I'm putting them in order of how much they impacted the result. 1, we were garbage. That was the biggest thing. 2, Spurs played well. 3, the refereeing was atrocious. But I put the refereeing at the bottom because I think even with good refereeing, we still don't win that game. A red card for holding was a good call, but I also feel Son should have been red carded, which would have had massive implications. The pen was soft, but hey, they scored 2 more. So it's not like it was a last-minute pen to win it. That's what I put it down to. Were you a pen,
know
Rob?
what? Rob, you
sorry,
your
no.
thoughts.
Robbie, were you a pen? I'm guessing you were. Yes, it's a pen.
No, I thought it was a soft pen. Honestly, I thought it was a pen, but on the soft side. We've seen them given before for both. I did think it was a penalty, very soft penalty, but a soft penalty is a penalty at the end of the day. Once they got that momentum, especially the second goal came, I didn't see Arsenal coming back for it. They had the momentum, they had the wind in their sails. They played a great game, mate. Conte played a good strategy. I thought it was a good game, especially from Spurs on Spurs' behalf.
RJ, final word, mate. Go for it.
Nobody's talking about the Tottenham Burnley game. They got a very interesting penalty there, and I know his arm was up, but it was a foul. And
that's a penalty for me. That's a penalty.
Yeah,
for me.
well, I was listening to Talk Sport actually on it, and they're talking about this whole VAR implementation. Yes, I agree. The word of the law, his arm was in a natural position, but why was it in an unnatural position? There's not enough, what's it called? It's one thing to apply the rule of law. It's another thing to ensure you get a good outcome. So that means that the law itself is a problem, because if they're just saying, look, we followed the law, we can't go outside that, but you're getting a crap outcome, that's not good enough. You know what I mean? Because now Spurs have materially benefited from that. And also Burnley on the other side of the ladder, they need every point they can get. So to me, that whole handball rule, the more inconsistent we're seeing, the more it's affecting teams. It's something they've got to hit up, because it's pretty bad in my opinion. And yes, I am a Talk Sport superstar, Borchie, by the way.
That's it. Oh, Talk Sport friends. Oh.
That's all right. You'll never be invited on now. I'm not going to endorse you guys. Sorry.
On the other end of the table, interestingly, I put a poll in the live chat tonight. I wanted to distract from the Arsenal talk as much as possible. I asked who's going down: Burnley, Everton, Leeds. 50% of the vote on Leeds. So, Davide, I understand you're a little bit bored of Arsenal talk, but mate, you'll be in the Championship next season, I reckon. 15% on Everton and 35% on Burnley. It's a little bit messy at the bottom of the table, but I think Leeds are dropping as well. I think they bought Jesse Marsh in maybe a month too late. If he'd have come in earlier, I think he actually could have got him out, because they have improved. But Robbie, quickly, who's going down?
I voted Burnley in there, but look, I think it will be a miracle if Leeds get away with it now. But I kind of want Burnley to go down. I think you get 6 points from Leeds. Burnley are pain in the ass, especially for us. So I'd prefer Burnley to go down from a footballing point of view.
Yep. What about you, RJ?
No, I can't stand Leeds. I think if not for anything, they're a pretty dirty team in my opinion. Aileen,
Yeah.
his red card, atrocious. I think the tackle again, Daniel James, what he done to Kovacic, another disgusting tackle. And to be honest, I saw some sections of the crowd booing and faking his injury and giving him stick. And some of the chants that I saw, I hope they go down because I don't really like them at all. So see you on the championship.
I actually think if Leeds go down, I think a lot of their players will go, and I think they'll stay down again for quite a while.
Rafinha will go definitely.
Rafinha looks like he's already on his way to
Calvin
Barcelona.
Phillips.
I'd say a lot of those players have got clauses. If they get relegated, they'll go for cheap, and that'll be hard for them to come back up the bounce again. So big signs for them at the moment for Leeds.
Right, boys, we obviously spent a significant amount of time on Arsenal's results because of the impact they had on the league. Any other results you wanted to quickly point out? I'm not going to lie, after the North London derby, I basically went into hibernation mode from football. So I haven't watched a whole lot, but RJ, you look keen, mate. What do you want to talk about?
I was just saying, my comparison is you went like the League of Shadows, mate. You totally disappeared after the North London
100%.
derby.
I didn't report. No texts, no phone calls, no group messages, no punters club, nothing.
Hey, I didn't give you any stick, mate. Let me put that on the record.
You're good. You've got integrity, mate.
I didn't give you anything either, to be honest.
We should talk about City opening up the door for Liverpool's quad. Because they were down 2-0 against West Ham. Jared Havertz-Bowen, what a double he scored. But credit to City, that's Champions material, bounced back 2-0 down, and they should have won the game. He missed his penalty.
Mahrez. I swear, if they do get the quad, it's all on him, mate.
Mm-hmm. Yep, but impressive to come back.
Seriously, but why he's missed penalties like that before? Someone else on that pitch could have taken that penalty, man. Honestly, he's missed a best penalty like that before, man. Super cool.
It's hard though, man. Penalties are hard because I even think about what happened with Mount. You bang it in, a couple of inches can make the biggest difference.
Stop being such a Mount hater, Scott. Jeez, worry about your own club.
You bang it in, you're the hero. You miss it, you're the villain.
That's it.
I'm happy it keeps the title race active because I kind of don't like Manchester United fans at the moment, and I know they'd be more devo than me about a quad, so I'm kind of secretly hoping for this quad to happen just to annoy you guys.
Don't you dare. Don't you dare.
No, mate. That's it.
Is it a case, boys, with West Ham of consistency killing their season a little bit? Because they were sitting pretty like in the top four for a long amount of time, and now they're sitting in 7th, 56 points, 2 behind Manchester United, so they could leapfrog them. God, you'd love to see it. But they're guaranteed some form of European football.
Yeah.
Is it too late? Was it consistency for them? And do you think they could overtake United, Robbie?
I think they can definitely overtake us this season. It's a big possibility, just like I said about the Spurs and you guys. But I think 7th is about right for West Ham. I think that's a good season still. Anything above 7th is overachieving for them. So good season again for West Ham.
Yep.
Unfortunately, they couldn't maybe, when they were a bit higher, they couldn't hold on to that. But look, they were juggling Europa League. They haven't got the biggest of squads. They haven't got they didn't have the money bill that's got spent out like some of the other big clubs. I think they've done a good job still.
RJ?
Look, I agree broadly, but also considering where they finished last season, I know that the Europa was a big distraction for them, but the fact is they've regressed table position-wise, and that's disappointing. I know other teams have improved.
6.
I think it was 6, but live chat, correct us if I'm wrong.
I think it was 6.
It's just one position.
It's a slight regression, I know, and Europa, but still.
6. If they jump past, they finish 6. That's the same.
Know. I just think because they haven't even maintained, they've regressed position-wise, but also you've got players like they've got Zuma on board, Declan Rice has had another year of experience, Suchek, Bowen. Of course, they've had another year to get their stuff sorted out, and they haven't improved. You could argue Europa League was a focus, but I think overall, if I was a West Ham fan, I'd probably call it a balanced season. Not good, not bad. The same.
Right. Boys, any other results before we move on?
RJ?
Well, Everton losing 3-2. It keeps the relegation race open. 2 red cards. Very exciting game. But Brentford, again, they're showing that they're a team that's got promoted, showed a lot of courage, and that's why they deserve to stay in the top flight next season.
And Christian Eriksen, what about that guy? Will he be
Good
at Brentford
signing.
next season?
I don't think so. I reckon someone will snatch him up for free. Why wouldn't you?
I'd take him. I'd have him at the Arsenal.
I'd take him for a squad player or another player for free. Why wouldn't you? He's a creative player. He's Premier League proven. Why not?
Yeah, okay. This will be interesting, tomorrow's match. We are going to do some predictions soon. We'll be ready for those. Robbie, can you quickly tell me, because like I said, hibernation, depression, miserable after that North London derby. What's it go with this? I'm seeing Eman and Adam in the chat talking about this bust up. Can you quickly just fill us in? What bust up are they talking about?
Reportedly, there was a bust up at training. Still hasn't come out what it was, which players. So it's kind of up in the air. But apparently, during the week, there was a bust up. Any kind of United news with some bit of saltiness.
Jesse Lingard had to be involved. You could
I
picture
100%
it,
agree with you. And just on Lingard, mate, it really pissed me off the other morning, man. How he's kind of come out of the disrespect. I don't know if you've seen. He put a tweet out saying, Mark Noble, took me under his wing, this and that. Like, he's just having, it's like he's putting out a little dig because he still hasn't got this little send-off that he wants. Mate, I just want him to go even more now. I wouldn't give him any recognition. See you later. Thanks for coming. Like, at first it was his brother, the agent, that's like throwing little digs out, fair enough. But when it's he's coming out and doing stuff like that, he made himself look like he's a West Ham legend or something. Just get over it, mate. Get out of the club. I'm over him.
Wasn't very noble of him.
Yeah,
look,
100%.
This is apparently what started it. Apparently someone stole Ronnie's hair gel. Interesting to hear. RJ, quickly, because we have to do predictions. We're going to be going for 6.5 hours tonight, and it's all my fault.
Don't ask me about my hair gel, mate. It's a special one.
That's it. Do you reckon United did have done Lingard dirty, RJ, or
no? It takes two to tango. We've spoken about this beforehand. He's not a superstar. He's been a loyal servant to an extent, but he hasn't delivered. He should have been a bit more professional, left amicably, and nobody would have talked about him. You let your performances on the field do the talking, and that's how it goes. Speaking of professionals, Mark Noble, good little moment with him and Pep Guardiola the other day as well. I thought that was a nice touch. So, yeah.
Interesting. I like this comment. Fred and Hannibal seems to be where the money is. Well, you'd say Hannibal would eat him alive, wouldn't you? Just quietly. Sorry, I'm done, boys. All right, let's do some predictions, and then let's talk about
predictions, boys, I reckon.
Yeah. We've got these covered. Right, tomorrow morning, Saints, Liverpool. Robbie.
Liverpool A should beat Liverpool B, so I'll go 2-0 to Liverpool A.
I'm guessing that's the real Liverpool, right?
Yep.
Okay, 2-0 to them. Yeah, I'm going 3-1 to Liverpool. What about you, RJ?
5-0 Liverpool.
5-0.
I don't think that's crazy.
No,
I don't.
They did have a few come off in that final. Precautionary, possibly, but do they get rested or for the final, Champions League final? We'll see.
A few shouts to 1-1 draws in here. Look at them. It's almost as if
I doubt it.
All of them calling 1-1. I think that's a little bit more optimism /
I think that's all United fans as well, mate.
Not Marty, though. Not Marty. RJ, what's your call, mate?
I said 5-0.
5, sorry. I was distracted by the bad predictions in the chat. Next one, huge. I don't think it'll be a fun game in terms of the quality of football, but Everton hosting Palace, this is going to be massive. Absolutely massive. I'll start with you, RJ.
Yeah, you're right. Everton's going to be super desperate. I could see this one being a 1-1 draw, to be honest with you. Pretty ugly game.
Yeah.
Robbie?
Who got the red cards for Everton the other week on the last game?
Rondon. Yeah, Rondon. And who was the other person? I can't remember now. Live chat helped me out.
I agree with you 1-1 as well for this one.
I'm hoping Arsenal legend puts one over Man City legend, and it's 2-1 to Palace, to be honest. But Villa and Burnley, another one. There's plenty of action at the bottom. plenty of action. I feel like Villa will have too much of Burnley, and I'm going to go with Villa 2-0 in this. What about you, Rob?
I'm going to go 3-1 Villa.
Right, RJ?
Burnley's so desperate, boys, but you know what I mean? Like, I think they're going to be super resilient at the back. I think it's going to be very tight. I think Villa will get this one, but 2-1.
Boys, it's going to be exciting. It's going to be exciting. Here we go. What's this one from Marty? 3-0 Villa. Quickly, we got Super Tommy Tuchel in the chat. It's an Arsenal comment, but let's quickly have a look at it. It's always nice to see a new face. Please sub if you haven't already. Tomiyasu got spun in a pressure game versus Royale. Performances Liverpool and Arteta can never manage at Conte's level. Hard to argue. Conte is an elite manager. Arteta is not. They're just simple facts. So, yeah, Tommy was disappointing. He was disappointing and he went off injured. I don't think he was fully fit. Your boys, RJ, Chelsea, Leicester. What's happening here?
Leicester bounced back with a good 5-1 win, so you just don't know what you're going to get with them. But given that we've locked down top 4, I'm more interested now to see if we're going to, rest a whole bunch of players and give some youngsters a run.
Yep.
I want to lock down third spot personally and then use the last game for that. So I reckon we will win this one. I'm going to go 2-1 to the Blues.
Yeah, it's hard to see anything other than Chelsea winning. I'm going to go with Chelsea 2-0.
Yep, I was going to say Chelsea 2-0 as well. They've got their Champions League after today. They're in cruise control. They've got nothing to... No,
less pressure. Less pressure.
That's it. There's nothing there. Win this game, lock in third kind of thing. They're in cruise control for the rest of the season.
All right, gentlemen, let's move on. We've done some predictions. We've talked about the action that was. We've definitely spoken about Arsenal. Let's look at the nominees because we saw plenty of nominees come out for Manager of the Season, Player of the Season, and Young Player of the Season. I'm not going to lie, I was shocked with some of what I saw. I'm not sure if you boys were, but let's start with the Player of the Season nominees. Now, I'm going to put it out there before either of you can try and banter me. I don't think Bukayo Saka should be...
What's Saka doing there, Scott?
Young Player of the Season, I think he should be included, but it's almost like they need to cut the nominees down, get rid of 3 players from there because Ward-Prowse, no, Saka, no, and I would probably say even though he's had a good season, Bowen, maybe not there. But what are your early thoughts on this though, Robbie? Obviously no Man United players in there. Who are you thinking though?
I wasn't actually thinking. Actually
Ronaldo.
Ronaldo,
about Ronnie.
Look, you can be salty or not. I actually think he deserves to be in there. If you look at the thing, he's won quite a few Player of the Month awards, so he's definitely been in there compared to some of the others. 18 Premier League goals in one of the worst United teams ever. Without him, I'd hate to see where it would be this year. But look, he's not my Player of the Season, but I do think he should have been at least in the conversation, like I said, over a Ward-Prowse or someone like that. But look, I actually done a bit of homework on this. I'm not going to go too deep on it, but for me, Son takes this, and I've got good arguments to follow it up with.
Sorry, man. I was hoping one of you would break that silence while I snuck in a drink. But on Ronaldo, and we'll come to you in a sec, RJ, saltiness, banter, rivalry aside, I think he deserves to be on that list too. The one that I think's least deserving is Ward-Prowse, then followed by Saka. So if either of those two had dropped out for Ronnie, I would be okay with that. He's not the Player of the Season, but he's more than deserving of that list. I agree. An interesting shout on Son. RJ, what do you think? Ronnie should be feeling aggrieved or?
No, I don't think it's that much. Like I said, he should be in the conversation. I don't think he's anywhere near the front runners, put it that way.
Okay. RJ?
Yeah, definitely. Me, obviously big Messi fan, but Ronaldo's had a very strong season. He's missed a few games. He's played 30 of them in the Premier League, so it's not like he's been missing for too many of them. But I don't know. It's just weird because they're looking for distribution of heavy favourites and outside bolters. So, yeah, he should feel a little bit of grief to not be in this list. But if I'm a United fan and you're feeling a little bit upset that he's not there, ultimately, I wouldn't feel too disappointed because he wasn't good enough to win it anyway. So, what's the real reward to be in the nominees list, if you know what I mean? So, yeah, it's all diplomatic.
Who's your man, Arj?
I would definitely take out, Ward-Prowse and Saka. But, yeah, Ronaldo would come in there probably just because of his stats as a centre forward. De Bruyne is an interesting one because we know he's very streaky. He's a
He
streaky
hasn't been
player.
consistent as he should be this year. He's
There's
been
pro-
very
yeah.
good lately, but he's been quiet compared to his standard first half of the season.
Yeah, so I can understand Salah for sure. Alexander-Arnold, very, very impressive stats. Bowen's a bolter. Son, I agree. He's right up there for me. I don't know, but man, to be honest, like Chelsea's the third best team. No players in that list. Mason Mount's double figures on both. He's in the young players list. But again, Saka, how does Saka get ahead of him? So look, there's a few issues with this list for me, and I've highlighted those couple of players, Saka, Ward-Prowse, and De Bruyne to a lesser extent. It feels like they just wanted to get some Manchester City stars in there.
Can I just, I don't know if you don't mind or not, Boogie, just with the whole, for me, the two front runners are Salah and Son. Yeah, Salah and Son. And look, I've done about an hour's worth of homework before this, so I just want to throw out just some quick stats, and this is why I think Son. Now, if you're looking at stats all up, obviously Son, he's 21 goals, Salah's 22. 5 penalties for Salah, no penalties for Son. 7 assists for Son, 13 for Salah. But this is where it starts getting in the clinical department. 79 shots on target for Son, and he scored the 21 goals. 131 shots on target for Salah to get the 22. I've gone, and then the thing I went all the way back. I went all the way back to game 1, and I had a look at all the results to see out of the two players who actually won points for their team throughout the whole season. Son has won 20 points for Spurs, and Salah has won 18 points for Liverpool. So, and you have to think that Son as well, they didn't have the best start under Nuno at the start of the season. They had a bit of a slow start, bit rocky, got sacked. They're not at the caliber of a Liverpool, the world-class team they are. So for me, I think Son, if he doesn't get this season, I'll be calling corruption on this one.
I don't think I'll call corruption because goals and assists, Salah's still ahead. And looking, just to give an opposing point of view, because, again, if I wasn't an Arsenal fan, I would have no negative feeling if Son won it because I think he's been sensational. And I do think it's those two. I think they're both deserving, though. But the way teams set up against Liverpool and the way for at least half the season teams set up against Spurs, a little bit different. Liverpool have to overcome that low block in practically every match because not many teams have the cojones to go and attack Liverpool. So they're going to have to work a lot harder for their goals against low block and negative football. Whereas Spurs were in the mud for, the first half of the season. They weren't very well respected. So teams are going in and attacking them as well, which does leave space for a guy like Son. So you could maybe make the case that he didn't have to work as hard for his, and it's really him and Harry Kane. So it's those two. That's the game plan. Whereas Liverpool have a whole range of options. Salah does have to share that load. But again, I'm not saying that Son would not be a deserving winner. I think it's 50-50, flip of a coin. First half of the season, Salah clear. Second half of the season, I say Son. So that's where I'm at. RJ, Salah, Son, if you had to go one?
Well, I think Son's had more of an effect now, greater versus Salah, because, like you said, there's a bunch of other great players that have helped them, particularly since the AFCON disaster and people like Luis Diaz coming on board. Salah's been very, very quiet since the start of this calendar year, and that, it's not like he's just dropped off a little bit. He's dropped off quite a lot. So this is a player of the season, not player of the half season. And I think, he probably loses because of that, to be honest. So I was actually looking at a couple of these ones here. And interestingly, both Cancelo and Alexander-Arnold, so both fullbacks, attacking-based fullbacks, but no love for goalkeepers and no love for centre backs here. And with, just for a bit of diversity of thought, why don't players like Thiago Silva get a mention or Antonio Rudiger? Because there has been talk, do Chelsea get treated a bit differently because of the sanction situation, but then you've got the young player, so you put that to bed? Just a thought, though. No centre backs, no goalkeepers in this list. Seems a bit unusual.
I don't think there's been a keeper who has been at that caliber consistently all year.
Centre back?
I couldn't agree with that centre back either, to be honest. Yeah. Maybe, like I said, look, throw one in, like I said, again, over Ward-Prowse, fair enough. But like I said, I think Ronaldo would jump in front of that as well. Look, it's hard, man. We've all seen this a million times before. At the end of the day, it's the stats, the goals, the assists, the attack is always, it's just like saying in the Ballon d'Or, it's very rare that you're going to see a goalkeeper and a defender win it, because it's always going to come down to the attackers, who wins the game, who scores the goals, who's got the more flair. Look, I don't always agree with it, but that's just how it is, kind of thing. So, but yeah.
All right, boys. Well, let's look at the next one. We won't go as detailed on this. We'll keep this one a little bit quicker. But the young player of the season nominees, we've got Trent Alexander-Arnold, Foden, Conor Gallagher, Mitchell, Mount, Ramsdale, Saka, and Rice. I always feel like Rice is too old to be in the young player of the season, but he's actually not.
He's young.
Yeah, I know. He's just aged miserably, mate. It's that English weather. Robbie, look at this list. Just tell me who your 3 front runners are.
I'll tell you my 1. I'm just going to quickfire it. Conor Gallagher.
Wow, that's not my one, but I can see the shout. Why Conor Gallagher?
I think in a team, Crystal Palace, so you take out all the top 6 teams there, and that's including West Ham, Liverpool, Chelsea, City. I think he's the one that's been thrown into the deep end out of all of them and is really shone. And I think he's been the engine of the midfield of that Crystal Palace team. And I think there'll be nothing to where they are, even though they're mid-table, without Conor Gallagher. So I think he's had a great season. He was in our team of the season halfway through the year, and I reckon he can probably squeeze into the team of the season again.
Interesting. What about you, RJ?
Yeah, he's, again, one of those players that have taken off, and not similar to Salah. He has had a decline. He couldn't maintain the same high standard. The trajectory can't be that way because he'd be out of this planet. But he's been pretty good for the whole season. I definitely think it's a no-brainer that he makes the list, which is a great achievement in itself. So clap to him. I just think there's a lot of class plays. I actually like this list better than the other list, interestingly enough. I reckon what's going to happen is Alexander-Arnold will win this list because he won't win the other one, which to me is a whole bigger problem. You shouldn't make both lists because you shouldn't have a fallback. If you don't win that one, you can fall back on this one. No, it shouldn't be. You're in one or the other, but that's just me. Mm-hmm. So he will win it, in my opinion. Who I think should win it, it's between my boy, of course, 11 goals, 10 assists, Mason Mount, versus, I've got to be honest here, I would say Declan Rice. I know I'll probably cop a little stick, but he's been very influential for West Ham, both Europa and I know this is Premier League, but I think he probably just edges it for me. But Mount, my number 1 choice, but Trent probably is going to win it.
Look, for me, it's clearly Aaron Ramsdale. There's no better choice. No. In all seriousness, I think it's Mason Mount for me. Double digits goals and assists. I mean, the stats play such a pivotal role, and that's impressive to do that with both. When Chelsea have been really let down by Lukaku up front, they've had so much rotation, they've had a lot of chaos. I think he's the man for this, and I can't hide the fact that I'm a massive fan of Mount. So to me, he gets this, but I really agree with you, RJ, that you shouldn't be able to get on both lists. I think that's a farce, mate. You shouldn't get two bites at it. So they're my thoughts there, but it is a good list, very competitive. The next one for me is a much quicker conversation, but we don't always see eye to eye, lads. Sometimes we disagree. Manager of the season, Thomas Frank, Pep Guardiola, Eddie Howe, Jurgen Klopp, and Paddy Vieira. I might kick this one off by saying who I think is just there filling space. Patrick Vieira, Palace really dropped off. I think he's done remarkably well, but for me, he's filling space. Eddie Howe, shame he didn't start the season with them. I think the true judge would have come over a longer period of time, done an amazing job, but not enough of a job to be in this chat. And Thomas Frank, for me, Brentford have had some hyper moments, but it's Pep or Klopp. Whichever one of those teams wins the Premier League, that's the one. That's the one for me. Simple as that. But it all comes down to what you think makes the manager of the season. And we've had this debate when we were doing the tiers. Robbie, I have a feeling you're going to disagree with me on this one. What are your views?
Yeah, look, I have to agree with what you said, how the criteria works again, because if you're going Klopp and Pep, which is the two front runners and the easy option, I think Klopp gets it over Pep, to be honest. But yeah, for me, the manager of the season is Thomas Frank, and I'm not even taking a piss. Again, if you look at the stats and stuff, not only has he beaten some of the big boys this season in some massive, obviously West Ham, he's done twice. The big game against Chelsea, he's beat Arsenal first game of the season. This is a promoted club that hasn't been in the Premier League for 40 years. 35 million he spent compared to someone, like I said, Eddie Howe comes in halfway through the season, 130 million. Pep Guardiola, net spend 40 million. Yes, he bought $100 million Mr. Grealish, but they also did sell a few players, so 40 million net there. Klopp, for me, gets over Guardiola. If you look at last season on points, he finished on 69 points. I think he spent close to 80 million all up, and now he's got up to 86 points with a game in hand and could still win the Premier League, compared to Pep Guardiola, who finished last season on 86 points to win the Premier League. He bought a $100 million player plus $40 million net. So he's around about the exact same thing at the moment, and he hasn't locked in the Premier League as of yet. So, look, Thomas Frank, for me, should get a really good shout if you look at all the stats and that. From bringing up a team with no Premier League proven players, a championship team that was dubbed to go down and be relegated again, I think mid-table 11th is a great shout for him.
The table's misleading though, Rob, because they won their last two games. Before that, they lost and drawn one. They were only a few points ahead of the relegated places. So if they don't win their last two games, all of a sudden, then from 11th to 15th, 16th, would we still have that same attitude? Like, you know what I mean? So
we're going off now. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
So, but 2 weeks ago, for a manager of a season, in 2 weeks, the whole vote could have changed dramatically because they've got two back-to-back wins that have put them into 11th. They lose both their games, they're in 16th spot. And that would be a very funny situation to give a manager of the season in 16th spot.
True,
so
but they didn't lose
I agree.
Game. Yeah,
yeah, I know. But this is, but my point is it's a manager of the season thing. And 2 games could have been a deciding factor which way you swung over a 38-game season. But I agree, he's been phenomenal. Eddie Howe, been unbelievable, but I agree the sample size, it's the manager of the season, not half season. Mm-hmm. Vieira, much like Salah, dropped off quite significantly in the second half of the season, but that's no shame to them. He should have
even been in the conversation, Vieira. He spent,
I agree.
85 million he spent.
I agree.
85 million he spent, and then he's under Brentford at the moment with the same conversation.
Boys, and I almost wish we'd done a phone in tonight because there's a lot of action going on. But what do you make of this though? For what Eddie Howe's done, it's incredible. No win after 14 games. They were looking like they were down, and look what he's achieved. I know Paul clearly has no bias at all, but is Eddie Howe like that third in your line, or do you think Paul has a point?
No, I'll tell you why. Because again, how can we speculate just because of what happened since he's come in? He hasn't demonstrated for the first half of the season how they would have gone. So how can you give someone the manager of the season when they haven't even been here for half the season? So to me, it's just not, it's an NA. It's not a judgment on him. He's been fantastic. But this is a season-long reward.
Came in, got 130 million. And look, if we're looking on form, he's done amazing, but he's still sitting 5th on the table. And that is a massive accomplishment. But still, that's not manager of the season. Like, he shouldn't be manager of the season for that.
Look,
Yeah.
there's no doubt they've been amazing since he's come in. And in terms of Premier League form, they're towards the top, aren't they? I think, did you say fifth in the form table, Robbie?
Fifth in the form table.
Yeah, look, that's impressive for a team that was looking for all intents and purposes like relegation. But yeah, look, I think Eddie Howe deserves a ton of credit. I'm not saying he's not deserving of credit, and I actually think he deserves to be on that list too. But the list for me is where it is. It has to be Klopp.
I still think, but you know what, as well. Well, I think who should win it? Pep should win it. And I'll tell you why in a minute. But for the most part, I actually think an underrated manager is Bruno Lage from Wolves. Again, they've been very strongly competing. They've had a bit of a drop off recently, but throughout the whole season, I don't think many people would have had Wolves fighting in and around those European places had they not dropped off. So he's another underrated person. Moyes, again, he's someone that was a shout for West Ham, but they've
I
dropped
think
off
you
a
should have
bit.
been in with a shout. Yeah.
I don't know. I
Before
think Pep, though, for me.
Yeah, look, for me, I'm on Pep or Klopp. Whoever wins the league, give it to them, because it's been a tough league to win between those two. And just to wrap that up, look, he has had money to spend, but he has had injuries. But you know what? Every team has had injuries to compete with. And again, not slating Eddie Howe. I think he's been absolutely sensational. I can't wait to see what he does with them over a full season, because Newcastle, I'm really worried about what they're going to do next season. I feel like for us, the Champions League is going to be mission impossible. But let's quickly talk about this news, do some quick fires, and say goodnight, gents. News coming out that Messi's likely to get a Beckham-like move to the MLS after PSG will get shares in the club. RJ, he's your man. What do you think about this Pessi news?
Best there ever was, ever will be, aside from Super Frank. But good luck to him, man. He's got nothing left to prove. You know what I mean? If he does go over there, good luck to him, if that's what his career direction is. But I'd love to see him still stick around, because I still think he's got a lot to offer and we should appreciate while he's here.
Easy. Robbie, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'd actually be amazed if that happened. I think he's still got a lot to offer the game. I still think there's a possibility he's going to go back to Barcelona, to be honest. I reckon if they can work out any kind of deal to get him back from a marketing point of view, from an all point of view, I think they'd love it. I don't know if it will happen, but I reckon the chances of going back to Barca would be over MSL. Or that's just a waste, in my opinion.
Yeah, look, be interesting. I mean, you still got a warrior like Ronaldo competing in the Premier League and one chilling in Miami down at the beach. Says a lot about the mentality.
Winning another cup to his name. What a
mate, don't count an MLS Cup, please. Don't even tell me you.
I think it'd be worse if he went over there and didn't win. That would be the worst. Not him, but it'll just look bad on his career. He's gone over. Messi's gone to. Because, it doesn't always happen, man. Like Ibrahimovic went over there. I don't think he won. Just because they go to the big clubs doesn't mean they're going to win either over there.
It's true.
Boys, let's do some quick fires. I've got a quick fire for you two from Borcha. I know the answer. Anyone want to have a guess?
Fourth to fifth. Arsenal.
God, that took you too long. On the Messi news, Trippy, our pro club's winger. Our winger extraordinaire, one Farmers League to another. Love it. And Marty,
number 7, mate.
It's no Audi Cup. Love that. Let's do some quick fires, gents. Robbie, you're always ready for this.
I've only got one tonight, boys. We didn't cover it, so my quick fire is: who's winning the Europa League final on Thursday? Rangers or Eintracht Frankfurt?
Frankfurt, I hope. I'm a Celtic fan, so I don't want to see Rangers win it.
Frankfurt for me.
Yeah, I'd like to see Frankfurt win it, but I actually think Rangers will do this one. So, yeah. I think it'll be a really good game. I'll definitely tune into it.
RJ, you got yours?
Is this a football thing? Players coming out after a game, after they've lost, and criticize their team like Granit Xhaka did. Is that a football thing, the way he's done that?
Yep.
It's a no for me. Do it in the change room. Don't have to do it on. Doesn't have to be broadcasted everywhere. Yeah.
Any others, Arj?
Nah, no more for me.
Well, look, you know what? That's it. That's it, because I haven't got one. I'm in terrible form at the moment in the end of season funk. But the good news is, even though the season's winding down, we will still be here on Thursday night at 8:30 p.m. or 11:30 in the UK. Might have a special guest in the offering. Maybe a Manchester City fan, perhaps, but we won't give you too much right now. You have to jump in and see. So make sure you jump back. Before you go, if you haven't already, hit the like button, hit the sub button. We're 16 away from 600, so share it with a mate as well. We would love to hit that milestone before the end of the season, and we know you champions can help get us there. RJ, closing comments?
Imagine not being Chelsea. We're almost finalised our sale, and I'm just proud that it's a long season, and I just want to rest. Tired, but I'm tired.
I do like how you said almost with all the speculation at the moment, but we'll go with that.
Yeah, look, RJ, couldn't have said it better, mate. I'm tired. One more week. We'll help Frankie out, and then that is it. Take care, everyone. You have been absolute champions. Pray for Norwich. Pray for them. Let's hope for a miracle, but it ain't happening. Good night, everyone. Look after yourselves.